So, welcome all for the lesson 3 of the book that we are reading currently. It is on focus. So, we are going to dive into the very interesting topic today that is all about navigating the noise and finding flow. How we are going to navigate the noise and find the flow state. That is what is the topic of discussion today. So, let's understand how exactly do we tune out to the noise. William James, a founder of modern psychology, defined attention as the sudden taking possession by mind. The sudden taking possession by the mind in clear and vivid form of one of what seems several simultaneous possible objects or trains of thoughts. Our brains are constantly battling two distinct types of distractions. This is very important. We need to know there are two distinct type of distractions that our brains are constantly battling. First is sensory, second is emotional. Sensory distractions are physical, like the hum of a coffee shop or the feeling of your tongue against your palate. Our brains are generally very good at filtering these noises, these physical noises. So this is kind of taken care. Now let's come to the emotional disturbance or emotional distractions. Emotional distractions, however, are much more daunting. If you overhear someone mention your name across a crowded room, your attention is reflexively hijacked. More profound still is the internal emotional turbulence, a recent argument, or a financial worry. We all have actually experienced this, isn't it? If there is some emotional disturbance happens, or there is something um, like for example the share market is going up and down, so that creates a worry, and that is also resulting at emotional level. So emotional turbulence is also a reason of this profound emotional distractions. These thoughts barge into our minds for an evolutionary reason. Our brain wants us to solve what is threatening us. The dividing line between fruitless worry and productive reflection is whether we can come to a tentative solution and then let the thought go. This is very important. The dividing line between fruitless worry and productive reflection is whether we can come to a tentative solution and then let the thought go. But generally, we do not do this. We do not do this productive reflection, and we keep the loop on without understanding where actually it should end. So those who focus best are those who are relatively immune to emotional turbulence. This is very important line. So one who is good at handling the emotional turbulence are a natural focus person, or people who can focus much better. When we successfully drop our emotional baggage and match our highest skill to a challenging task, we enter an optimal brain state called flow. In flow, our neural circuitry synchronizes perfectly with our target, a state neuroscientists call phase locking. Full absorption feels incredibly good. Pleasure is the actual emotional marker of being in a flow state. So this is also very important to note. If you are getting pleasure, like an artist is fully engaged in the flow, in the drawing or art that he or she is doing, then automatically the pleasure is a byproduct. It is definitely not a fatigue, even if he or she continues for 12 hours or 15 hours of kind of art. So let's understand the key insight of today's learning. First is selective attention. What is selective attention? The ability to beam in the ability to beam in on one target while actively dampening the circuits of distraction or distracting signals. Let me repeat again. So the first key insight is selective attention. The ability to beam in one target while actively dampening the circuits of distracting signals. And so we have actually discussed about the beam of attention or beam of just imagine there is a beam of light which is going and it is illuminating different parts of our brain or different parts of the different objects of those are placed in and around of our room. So this beam of attention we can consider as an anchor to increase our attention span. Okay, so this is selective attention. This is the result of selective attention. Or when we use the beam of attention, then we automatically get the selective attention. Then second key insight of today's session is the flow state, the ultimate form of attention. This is the ultimate form of attention achieved when our highest ability perfectly match the challenge at hand, creating deep neural harmony. So this is also very important whenever we want to achieve any complex task. We must see how we can quickly come to the flow state and work in a Pomo session. The Pomo session is also a great tool by which we can attain the flow state. Then the third and last key insight of today's learning is emotional immunity.
The
Yes,
Pomo session basically, because I've never really done it correctly, I think. Basically, you are allocating a certain time for a certain task and you record that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that what the Pomo session is?
Pomo session is something like you are first dealing with your distractions. And that means whatever distractions are present in and around you, you first shutting them down and fixing a certain period, maybe 25 minutes or 45 minutes. Generally, these are the two guideline of a Pomo session. You switch on the Pomo clock, okay, or a timer, and till the time is reached, you are continuously focused only on that particular task. No, nothing else. So even if notification comes up, you are not at all distracted. So that is called Pomo session.
Okay.
So we just discussed the flow state, right? So that flow state can be achieved when, so the tool to achieve the flow state is Pomo session. Another tool to achieve the flow state is your interest. Where actually your interest is aligned, automatically you will find yourself in the flow state, even the Pomo clock is not turned on. Like suppose we have a good interest for movie and we went to movie hall. In the theater, we are automatically in a flow state. We don't, even though there is a ring, we do not actually get distracted, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So the third key point of today's learning is emotional immunity. What is emotional immunity and how it helps is strong focus requires the neural capacity to inhibit emotion. If we cannot manage our anxiety, we cannot manage our attention. Very, very, very important point. So emotionally, we have to be very intelligent or strong to have a very good attention span or a flow state.
Is there a different slide for that?
We are not yet actually came to the slides. Before the slide, actually, I am just discussing the points that we need to understand, so that the slides will be will give us more input. Yeah. So I have two discussion questions for today, but before that, let's come to the slides. Quickly, we just have 6 more minutes to complete few slides at least, and then we will go to the discussion points. So here we see the foundation of attention. So what actually William James did? William James, a foundational architect of modern psychology, established the core definition of attention that we still rely on today. He described it as the mind's sudden, clear, and vivid possession of one specific object or train of thoughts out of several simultaneous possibilities. This definition highlights that true focus is not just about passively looking at something, but actively seizing it while discarding alternative mental paths. Mental in our mind, so many neural paths are there, and at any point of time, multiple thoughts are ready to distract us or to keep our attention very much distracted. But if we are seizing only in one path, or we are completely gluing our attention to only one path and seizing all or discarding all other alternative mental paths, then we are actually in the right mental space. So let's understand a practical scenario for the same. When you sit down in a bustling open office environment and become so engrossed in writing code that you no longer notice the conversation around you, your mind has actively taken possession of the programming task. So this is the flow state. Okay. So the beam of attention that we discussed, right? Just see the picture. How the beam of light or beam of focus is coming from this camera and capturing this actor. So similarly, we can actually anchor as if from our eyes, attention is kind of or focus is kind of getting emitted and putting it is coming to the object of reading or object of work that we are currently concerned about, and we are completely जैसे घोड़े का नाल होता है, right, in the eyes of the both side of the eyes of the horse there are some obstacles kept. घोड़े का कुछ तो बोलता है, I don't remember exactly, that actually makes the horse completely focus only on the road but not on the periphery.
Blinkers.
Maybe blinkers. So that makes the horse completely focus only on one thing, that is on the path where actually it has to go. Similarly, we need to train our mind, train our eyes also, that the beam of attention is completely and focusedly only on at one point. So then we will be very likely near to the selective attention state. We discuss about three states. One is selective attention state, another is flow state, another is emotional immunity. So coming to the next part, dual forces of distraction. What are these? Let's understand. One is sensory distraction, second is emotional distraction. We just discussed about this also in the beginning of today's session. Emotional distraction comes like we discussed this. Milinji actually joined a little late, so let me reiterate. It is like suppose the share market is going up and down, so our finances are actually getting impacted. So the emotionally we might actually getting distracted. So that is called emotional distraction. And sensory distraction is the physical sound, physical any kind of physical
factors, all five senses.
Yeah, from sensory from senses, if the distraction is coming and entering and distracting us, then that is sensory distraction. So the deep
Emotional
dive,
is much more powerful, I think.
yeah. So emotional distraction actually is emotional distraction. In fact, actually is much more important to deal with, because any kind of argument with anyone around us also
Hmm.
will be kind of shaking us, shaking our attention just because we are not emotionally stable. So people who are very focused in
Hmm.
anything that they do, you will see that they are emotionally intelligent and they are less immune or more immune to the distractions those are caused by others on emotional level. So let's read also the deep dive. Our brains are perpetually engaged in a high stakes battle against two fundamentally distinct categories of interference. One is sensory distraction and another is emotional distractions. While they both compete for our cognitive bandwidth, our neural responses and filtering capacity for each are vastly different. Recognizing which type of distraction is currently attacking your focus is the first mandatory step in neutralizing it. So we need to first recognize whether I am kind of having the sensory distraction as of now or emotional distraction or a mix of both.
Hmm.
This is a very important step actually. We generally bypass this. If we understand the root cause, then we can fix it very easily. So the practical scenario is a dog barking outside your window is a sensory force trying to break your focus, while a
Hmm.
sudden spike of anxiety about an upcoming performance review is an emotional force actively hijacking your thoughts. Right? So coming to the next slide, it is about the physical background of sensory distraction. This is little deeper, but it is on the same thing which we have already discussed. So let's not go into this. We have limited time. The next slide says about the internal hijack of emotional distraction. This is more important and little harder to deal with. So let's go a little deeper into it. Unlike easily ignored physical sounds, emotional distractions are remarkably daunting and have the power of reflexively hijack our attention. These disruptions can be triggered externally, like hearing someone mention your name across a crowded room, even though that appears to be a physical noise or physical sound that is coming to your ear, but it is creating an emotional up and down. Means emotionally, actually, it will awaken because what happens actually, it in a very crowded room where you are not expecting anyone to know you, by any chance you hear someone calling your name, then automatically we are emotionally awakened. Emotionally, we are more uh, vulnerable or kind of at least emotion will be triggered. So the author is saying here through profound emotional turbulence like a recent argument or a looming financial worry, the emotional triggers can be kind of observed. Our brains lack an automatic mute button for these powerful emotionally charged signals. Whereas the physical noise, actually, we can just switch off, switch off the some physical noise, whatever is happening, but there is no switch off button for the emotional triggers. For this, actually, the only thing is the practice and increasing the emotional intelligence. We need to
I
actually,
remember
yeah.
I remember in NLP,
Hmm.
when I remember one person came to our office and arranged for an NLP program there. While
Hmm.
we were doing the meditation,
Hmm.
office is located next to is in a residential area, but the road is a little busy. So I think every now and then they'll hear a heavy truck passing by or some honk. It'll be quiet most of the time. Suddenly, so then what he said was, start including all the noises and program your mind in such a way that every noise will make you meditate deeper. So every time a car drove past or a loud noise came, those who were able to do it were they started meditating. Even I was able to do it. After some time, the meditation became deeper and better. So you'll start feeling like these are all you're in a space of love, and every noise is helping you.
Yes, exactly.
But emotional, yeah, needs more practice.
Yes. So the meaning making actually helped here.
Yeah.
Mind is a meaning
Positive.
making machine. What kind of meaning we are giving to external noise that will actually help us or make us more disturbed. Similarly, we need to apply the same strategy for every emotional turbulence. And here, actually, the spirituality comes into a great help, wherein actually we
Yeah.
give a meaning that everything is temporary, and I am
Yeah.
here just to do my duty, and I am not going to be entangled with any kind of consequence that is coming as part of my karma, the past karma, right? So there are multiple ways. This is one way that I told, which by which actually we can get ourselves immune from the emotional distractions.
Because quick this thing you just touch the subject of spirituality. My question is,
Mhm.
without that spiritual dimension, okay, is it practically possible to achieve emotional intelligence and whatever we are discussing? If
Yes.
you just take the component out, spiritual component out,
Hmm.
without that, is it possible uh, to achieve
Yes.
this kind of this thing?
Certainly, certainly, it is possible. So because uh, you both and me and maybe most of the viewers that they are present these days are kind of emotionally aware. So I gave the example of spiritually aware. So I gave the example of spirituality, but otherwise also emotional intelligence itself is a very scientific topic, and without spirituality, that can be still achieved. There are multiple examples. We will discuss actually about emotional resilience in upcoming Saturday sessions because this is very important part. But due to the time constraint, I think today let's end the session here
Yep.
because we have already planned for 50 minutes and
Yep.
now
Yep.
20 plus minutes. So we will continue again tomorrow,
Yep.
the same time. So today
Yep.
exactly dot 1:30 we started. So
Yep.
I think you both can start joining the session at dot 1:30 or even
Yep.
before, even better.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you and yeah,
Thank
I'll
you.
see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so
Have a
much.
nice day. Cheers. Thank you. Bye
Thank you.
bye.
Have a nice day. Bye.
Thank you, Ranjit.